Please take your seats. You know, I don't know I've seen this many people at any NEMA facility on a Friday in the last 3.5 years. I want to thank our guests of coming here today. Productivity for this month will probably be the best that's ever been because we had. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you're all distinguished guests. I want you to know just what a great opportunity it is to have the chance today and the privilege to recognize the promotion of some of our very talented people that have been a part of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency and that are joining the National Imagery and Mapping Agency. Now we're going to use some terms. I'll talk about Defense Intelligence Senior Service Executive or the Defense Intelligence Senior Level. I think for the rest of the things, I'll just talk about senior executives, the leaders of our government today. Because that's this group of people that we'll recognize for the promotion is actually what they are. They are the ones that make those decisions, do the leadership that enables our government to operate as it does each and every day in supporting us, the people. But why this is especially an important occasion is that we have the opportunity to have family and friends, relatives of various natures to be with us and join us, to see just how hard and the recognition of the people that we will promote. I want to thank you especially for coming. You make it a special event for us. We know that it is because of you that they're able to do what they do each and every day. I know it's a little meager to say thank you. Thank you for missed PT events or sporting events or late nights coming home, or how about bringing the agonies of the office and all those things that can come about, or late weekends and nights. I want you to know that because of you, they're able to do the job, knowing that they have the backing, just as our great nation does, of the civilian population and our families and friends that stand behind us. Lee Greenwood many years ago had a very famous song line that went, "When you were needed, you were there." And I think this indeed talks about the family and friends and relatives that we have with us today. I'd ask all of you if you'd join with me in giving a round of applause to our families and friends. Now, as you look at the faces of our senior executives standing in, if you had the viewpoint that I see them, you would see some passion, some motivation and enthusiasm that really contributed to their selection. Now, their selection as senior executives is a high point of anyone's government career. And how to describe for you this difficult task that they've achieved is a mission that's been given to me, and as I look at our promotees, I have to say some would say it's a miracle. In other cases, it might say that the Department of Defense and the intelligence community truly do have a sense of humor. Many of you would place it with one of the wonders of birth, the joy of a high school or college graduation, or maybe just the satisfaction of knowing that you did your best and were recognized. But we are today recognizing a group of people that actually, because they cared, because of their passion and motivation and excellence, were able to succeed. Now, I have some challenges that I'd like to give to you as you go forth and do your new jobs, your new professions. The first, and I think it is so critical for us as seniors in the National Imagery and Mapping Agency, is live our core values. You are who the people will look to be their leaders and to set the example. And this needs to be more than just a politically correct statement. It needs to be more than just a little card that we carry in our pocket. It needs to be ingrained in every one of your values, each and every day of your thoughts. It has to be your motivation and enthusiasm as you go about doing our daily business. It requires you as a leader to exercise fairness and equity in administering systems and processes, but it requires you as a leader to be able to help make those around you competitive, to give them the opportunities to succeed, to be able to make each and every day a growth day for them as they come to work. If you demonstrate pride and initiative and commitment to our mission, integrity in the daily workplace will become just a common factor. If you promote trust and diversity and personal and professional growth, mutual respect and open communications, then dignity and respect won't be words that we have to put up on banners. They'll be something that's ingrained in our hearts. If you create and promote an environment that rewards teamwork, partnership, risk-taking, creativity, just doing your jobs, leadership, then every individual in this organization will have a chance to make an impact. And they will be the contributors that will make us as a team be better. And just how about that tradition of excellence and accountability in all that we do? We do a world-class product for our customers. You as seniors need to turn your attention that you have the number one customer that rests inside our buildings and facilities, and that's the men and women of NEMA who you're entrusted to support and work with. Now, I am going to give you some other challenges today. What I'm going to give you is what I'd call King's Dozen leadership points. And anybody that calls it Dirty Dozen after this, I'll say, no, you can't. But the first point would be is I ask you to be passionate. Demonstrate in action and words a strong commitment to the success of NEMA. Constantly transmit those messages that you know and feel and have had helped to contribute. The second, be compassionate. There's no doubt to me about your intellect, but I ask you to listen to your heart. Be aware of the feelings and emotions and others around you. Next is you must inspire trust. You are the stewards of this organization. Serve in a manner that establishes open and candid trust and relationships. My fourth point, and this you've done each and every day, this is an easy one for you. Act with integrity because you truly are the standard bearers. You all will be taking over and have already moved into directorates and offices and elements where you know that small unit operates and does so efficient in working for the agency. You have a lot of esprit and good feelings about it. I ask you to take and perpetuate that and think about the total agency also. Seek and practice broad business knowledge. Share that. As I look at the individual business units of NEMA, it just is eye-watering to see the phenomenal accomplishments of the people that do. Share with each other. I ask you to support risk-taking and learning experience from others. We use the trite words. We say risk avoidance, and we talk about all the things that we do because we want to be conservative. Well, if we are truly going to transform and make the major challenges that we have, we just have to take risk. We have to know what it is. We have to think about it and plan for it. Conservative is okay sometimes, but we have the talent and the intellect in our people that we can take the risk because they're going to shore us up. Take the risk by letting them take it and be responsible. And that's my seventh point, engage in cooperative problem solving. Not one of you got to where you are by yourself. I can guarantee you there is a legions out there that you're standing on their shoulders. They're in your organizations now. Now they want your job. I'm glad too. I hope they keep you challenged. Give them the opportunity to take it. Because it won't be too long for some of you, and you will be thinking about doing a transition. That's my eighth point. Actively allow them to participate in the decision-making process about what we're doing. We do not have the answer to how we should operate here. We got a lot of great ideas, and we're dealing with a lot of uncertainty. But if we took just 10 people in the room, tried to get their ideas, think how much valuable it is if we take over 7,000 and get their ideas. You do know yourself, but I ask you to kind of take a few days as you think about your new appointments and gain a little bit of self-awareness and realistic appraisal. I have to tell you that for many of you, a couple of weeks ago, you were a brilliant colonel. You were a great band five. You were at the top of your heap. People respected what you said. In a few minutes, I'm going to make you a senior executive. They're going to wonder if I gave you a mind pull there that don't start to change and act any different than you have that got you to where you are today. Know what made you, because your successes is what you need to translate. And I just tell you, don't change. Because the 10th is you got to continuously learn. Each and every day it changes for us because we're going to hold you accountable. And then finally, this is to the families, because we really need your help here. There's got to be some balance in their life. Try and get them to change their motto. I know almost every one of them, they're here in one way or other. They live to work. We want them to change to work to live. Tell them to come home sometime. Tell them if they'll remember all the other 11 points up there, they don't need to be here 18 to 20 hours a day. They don't need to miss some of those events. Their success comes from whether it's physical or mental or spiritual or work lives. But senior executives, if you place balance in your life, your people underneath you will. Well, in a few minutes, I'll be getting an opportunity to recognize each and every one of you. I'll do so by actually after we complete, so it doesn't come as a surprise to you, after we complete the promotions, I am going to ask you to take an oath, because I think it is important that we recognize who and what it is that we serve. Let me just say to you as we go through there to Earl, I'm glad you're taking over as Chief Proliferations Division. Earl and I might go back a little bit days. Earl was in some of the darkest hours of NEMA. I called him a Jedi Knight. He can tell you about it. And I will not do another interview on the Chinese embassy bombing either. Steve Hall, who is taking over our Maritime Safety Information Center and has done our maritime work, has tried to make a straight-leg soldier understand what it's like to operate on the high seas. I still sink my boat. I can't get that to it. Gary Hacker. Gary, active and is the director of the Dissemination Office with the Information Services Directorate. Put you on a pilgrimage from Missouri out here, helping us maintain that connectivity and being able to do what we do. We've got to talk with each other. Thanks. Vonna Heaton. Well, Vanna's moving into one of our new nerve centers of the Eurasia Center, and there's others I'll talk about as they transform and help NEMA come up and do another way of doing business. I want to also personally appreciate the guidance that you've given to us about how better to treat people, how to make this a more diverse organization, and how to improve our workforce processes. Jack Hild, frequently the most common thing is senior coming in, where's Jack? I need him to demonstrate what it is that we're going to do for the future. And as that, he's going to move in and take over the Asia and Ocean Center as director of the Asian and Oceania Center, where he'll be able to apply all of that he's done before and demonstrating it to our leaders of other agencies and things about how we're going to integrate things. Darrell Lance had a great opportunity to watch his support and service as he served as the director of the Army Space Program Office, joining us to come to NEMA to be responsible for planning and organizing, directing, and managing our acquisition initiatives across 5 of the AT divisions. We're glad to bring in that support that comes to us from your acquisition background and help grow NEMA to be stronger and continue this just rise that our acquisition people are doing and making good things happen. Scott Loomer, that's going to take over our technical advisor for our geographic services as the technical advisor for it. Now talk about experience coming in, 9 years at West Point, teaching some of the Army's finest. I'm an ROTC graduate. We let the other academy graduates come in. But truly, Scott, teaching those those junior officers how to be able to come in and do those things that we talk about in the geospatial world and being able to understand. We're glad to have those talents that are coming in here because we also want to recognize and work. Joe Obermeyer, who if I give him one more integrated product team, he threatened to quit. Joe, I appreciate the opportunity to work with you over the last over the year plus as we have talked about how do we do our business of maps and charts and understanding the world. How are we going to do it in the 21st century? Will be and has moved over to be responsible for our requirements and integration office. Lisa Cazano-Spuria. Well, Lisa and I have previous associations in other assignments, and exciting to then be able to join Lisa that's here as she moves to also take one of our heart of our organization units in the Middle East and Africa as director of that office and be able to bring it to the readiness and production that we needed that I've seen you supply to our customers over and over each and every day. I think I've got everybody. Did I miss anybody? Okay, wouldn't want to. Some of you thought there was going to be a surprise promotion. Sorry about that. That's not true. I wish that I could, what I should have done was pass out for you the biographies of each one of these individuals because you would find some real common ingredients to go through. They've always cared about people. They've always cared about their job. They just basically are very caring people. So ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time for us to get on the ceremony and make it official to be able to promote these executives. Now there is a tradition that I'm going to employ today before we start, and this is the tradition to the families and friends. First, they can take the rest of the day off. So challenge them to see how they handle my 12th point of balance. And then second, within the next 48 hours, they have to take you out to eat or do something of your desire. Okay? Let's see how many come up to be promoted. Let's go ahead.
As I call your name, will you please come forward? Mr. Earl Chidester Dices. Earl J. Chidester is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Sir, with a family, please come forward. Please come forward.
Oh, this is the fun part. Why don't you, would you take one first with that one? The reason I do this, I had an opportunity many years ago, in fact it was almost 15 years ago, and this is a true story, to do a promotion. And naturally, I stood up with the family, and I had a chance to see this family some years later in their home. And I saw the picture where they had neatly cut me out. So I saved them, Gaffer.
Mr. Gary Hacker Dices. Gary A. Hacker is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Will Mrs. Hacker come forward? Mr. Stephen Hall, Diocese. Stephen C. Hall is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Will the family please come forward? Ms. Vanna Heaton, Diocese. Vanna W. Heaton is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Will Mr. Heaton come forward? Mr. John Hild, Diocese. John H. Hild is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Will Mrs. Hild come forward? Mr. Darrell Lance Deisel. Darrell Lance is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Level of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Will the family please come forward?
I got a couple myself.
It's a little military wear.
Mr. Scott Loomer Deisel. Scott A. Loomer is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Level of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director. Will Mrs. Loomer come forward? Mr. Joseph Overmeyer, diocese.
Okay, you can't have this unless you do another IP.
7-3's the charm.
Joseph G. Obermeyer is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director.
Joe, did you want a picture by yourself?
Ms. Lisa Spuria, diocese. Lisa J. Spuria is appointed as a member of the Defense Intelligence Senior Executive Service of the National Imagery and Mapping Agency by order of James C. King, Lieutenant General, United States Army Director.
Could I ask all the promotees to stand?
Will today's honorees please stand in place for the oath of office?
Okay, if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your full name. I, Stephen Hall, will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will take this obligation freely. That I will take this obligation freely. Without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the office. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the office. Upon which I am about to enter. Upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. So help me God. Ladies and gentlemen, our newest senior executives in government.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Please join us for a reception in the back of the auditorium. Thank you.